All right. Well, we've got another Behind the Vita podcast. I'm John Mercer, chair of the Department of Kinesiology and Nutrition Sciences. I've got co-host Ted Gerard, program director of athletic training. Hey, Ted, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, excited to do another Behind the Vita.
Yeah, no, this is fun because we actually get to know the faculty even at a deeper level. And sometimes we think we know people, but we always discover something that we don't know. And today we have Tara Laguerta as our guest. She's a new faculty member. I say new, hired pre-COVID. And so you've been with the department now for a couple of years, and it's going to be fun to get to know your background, Tara, and what brought you to UNLV, and then some things outside of academics that you like doing. So how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. Well, we were going to start off with, tell us how you came to UNLV. What was your academic pathway that landed you here in the Department of Kinesiology and Nutrition Sciences?
So my journey to UNLV actually started a long time ago when I was 20 and I moved to Las Vegas by myself. I moved from Michigan, from a really small town, and I decided that I wanted to transfer to UNLV and to go to school to pursue. At first, I was actually a dance major, but I wanted to also join the nutrition program. So it took me 7 years to get my undergraduate degree. And then I moved back home to Michigan for a year. Then I came back to UNLV to be a graduate assistant and complete my master's in exercise physiology. And then immediately after that, went on to do my dietetic internship. And that was at Sunrise Hospital here. And then I got hired to teach part-time for a few years. So I got to teach part-time, my favorite course, the Nutrition 121. All of those kind of newbie freshmen who are trying to learn about themselves and have never taken a nutrition course, which always shocks me in high school or anywhere else. So it's kind of their first time to venture out into adulthood and learn about their own eating habits. So I got to teach that for a few years before I became a full-time lecturer.
So I have to ask you this because it's interesting. Your path is very similar to mine. So I have to ask you, when you came to UNLV the first time, was it just you're coming here for a short time to to go to school and then move on to other places, or was your intent always to be in Las Vegas?
I really didn't know when I first moved here whether it was going to be a permanent, but as soon as I was here, I realized that I never wanted to move back to Michigan, at least.
Well, that's an easy one, right? No.
But I did shortly just fall in love with Las Vegas. And so even that year home after my bachelor's, before my master's, I was just dying to get back to Vegas, and that became really truly more of my home versus my whole family is still in Michigan, so they certainly miss me, but they also love to come and visit me, so that's nice too. So a great place to
what is it about Las Vegas that you just love so much?
I certainly love the community that I found here at UNLV, and in the registered dietitian community. It's very small within Las Vegas. I also got into CrossFit here. So after my undergraduate degree, I worked at 24 Hour Fitness for a short period. I was a personal trainer. I actually started at the front desk, and that was maybe my favorite job. And then was a personal trainer for a while. That's where I met my husband. He was a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness as well, and then opened up his CrossFit gym here. And he now owns 2 CrossFit gyms. So I think as well, getting into my husband, who's a personal trainer at 24 Hour Fitness.
Sorry about that. That was me. I hit the wrong button.
I think the CrossFit community here was also really great. And so like all my friends are part of the gym. So just,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's interesting, you know, we weren't going to go down this road till later, but then what's your favorite workout of the day?
Oh, my favorite workout of the day. Oh, geez.
'Cause that's a CrossFit thing, right?
It is. I'm trying to think if I have like a specific one. I would say my favorite movement, I'll give you my favorite movement because this is one that I just learned to do only a few weeks ago, is on the bars. If you've ever seen like the hanging bars, where you swing and you do toes to rings.
Oh, wow.
So toes to rings, like it takes a lot of core movement and agility and just being in dance. I don't know. I am also very flexible, so I can do some of those more gymnastic type movements, and that's probably my favorite movement to do. But
Okay.
I CrossFit maybe 4 to 5 times a week. So
That's pretty impressive.
yeah, so it's pretty fun. I've gone through all different stages in my CrossFit journey, being pregnant and then postpartum. So you know, just finding different ways to still move and be active through injuries. If John remembers my big car accident that I was in during my master's degree, that set me back quite a bit. But I'm always able to scale or find something to do, which I love for CrossFit. Like anyone could really do it and scale it and be safe with it. So, and still have fun.
And I assume you get a pretty good discount on your CrossFit dues.
Yeah.
Which helps, right?
That definitely helps.
Well, and Ted and I know a number of CrossFit folks who have gotten into triathlon. And so it has been a nice gateway to endurance sports. So maybe you have triathlon in your future.
I might, you know, I think are you wearing the Pumpkin Man?
I am, yes.
So my husband did that. He did this sprint.
Weekend?
He did not. It was a few years ago.
Okay.
But he did the sprint. So we do sometimes like to venture out and try and do other things. But I would be up for it now that I'm feeling I think I'm back up to a higher fitness level than maybe I even was before my son. So I'm feeling like more adventurous. So I would be up for doing maybe a shorter try for sure.
Awesome. Well, sorry I missed you there. Yeah, that was that's always a fun race, and neat that he did the sprint. I always enjoy doing the sprint there. So, and we missed Ted there as well because he was off in the bomb cyclone over the weekend. So
Okay.
Yeah, that is a fun one. So can you tell us about your teaching and what you're teaching now, and you know, maybe the class that you enjoy teaching the most now?
Yeah. So I still get to teach 121.
Oh, okay.
Which
Good.
is great. So I still always get to teach sections of that. And I've gotten to update and develop that course over the years as well. But the other classes that I teach, so currently this semester, I'm also teaching life cycle nutrition, which I love. And the other courses that I actually developed another course that was a nutrition counseling course, which was a passion of mine. We didn't have a course that was like that before, and I thought it was very important as I missed out, I think, on a lot of that in my undergrad. And so I developed that course, ended up passing it off to another instructor to teach after I developed it, but that was a favorite one of mine. And then nutrition assessment and the labs. And I think that one has been the one that I've been most excited about in the last few years, even with all of the changes that we've made, because I think it's actually better now than it was before COVID. So I've gotten to integrate a few new things to that course, including we're using an online platform that allows students to practice patient charting. And I never even in undergrad was exposed to what charting looked like or electronic health records. And until I was in the internship and in the hospital, I had never experienced that. And it was very overwhelming. So I'm so excited that we get to introduce it to our juniors in our program and really give them that experience. So I think overall with my teaching, I, as a theme, am trying to just do better for my students. So anything that I feel like maybe was lacking in my own education, I really try and emphasize and make sure that they have at least exposure to. So when they get out into the real world, into their internship, or even just thinking about career paths, that they have a lot more expansive view.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you actually beat me to one of the questions I always like to ask is, what's the most important skill or piece of knowledge that you try to convey to your students? And you're speaking to that a little bit now, but could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I certainly try and make sure that students understand that anything is possible within dietetics. So becoming a registered dietitian, about 80% of dietitians work in the clinical space, but there's so many other opportunities out there. So I try and let them know that that doesn't have to be their only path, because that certainly wasn't my path. So to try and expose them to all the different settings that could be available to them. The other important thing that I've been implementing since COVID is to really work on skills with my students' mindset. So for instance, I do the first class for my juniors and my seniors. We do this activity it's called like cup fillers, cup drainers, and we look at their ratio. And it's kind of fun. We could do it if you guys want to. And
yeah, I'd like to hear more about this. I've never heard of this.
So we can do the activity if you want. I have it pulled up because I was thinking about it today, because it was something that was so impactful for my first class. And what I did is I assessed my students to see what their cup filler and cup drainer ratio was. And then I checked in with them at the midway point at 8 weeks to see if that had changed. So I'm gonna pull it up so I created this like nice little worksheet that I can share with you all too.
Okay.
Can I screen share?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're on
Let
me.
you do it.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Let me see. Okay, so we can do this all together. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is called the wellness ratio worksheet, and we'll just do kind of this top part together. If you guys have something to write on, that's most helpful. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up with a list of 5 activities that you do, and you're gonna write them down. Make a column that is for your cup fillers, which would be things that energize you. So first, don't worry about, this says 7 times. Don't worry about the numbers, just write the activity. So 5 activities that you do in a week that energize you, that fill up your cup, that you could do anytime within a day, and it's gonna like kind of give you that extra like push.
Well, they have to be exercises though, huh?
It can be anything. So mine would be
okay.
like,
So I can put coffee down.
I'll show you some other examples down here. So this is someone who filled this out. So quality time with loved ones, exercising, reading, journaling, organizing, listening to music, meditation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, mine was two
exercises, huh?
Two exercise related.
See, we're triathletes. I got swimming, biking,
exercise.
We got 3 taken care of right away. Swim, bike, run. But is that 1 or is that 3? I would say it's 3.
Yeah, you can decide. The other thing about this is, now when you start to think about activities in this way, now you will kind of go forth within the next few weeks and looking at each of your activities and evaluate if it is filling your cup or if it is draining your cup. So sometimes too, my students would say like the follow-up week, like week 2, they're like, I had to change some of my things as I realized that I actually had a few more on either side. So once you're done with your cup fillers, then you're going to do in the next category 5 things that you do that drain you. Those are your cup drainers.
Well, and what's interesting about this, it's neat to sort of put them in front of yourself and just be thinking about them, because now they're front and center.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're evaluating. Now I'm even thinking, okay, well, what does drain me? And now if I make that a conscious, a thought here, that's maybe I start trying to put the draining things in a different bucket. So
exactly. It's all about awareness. And that's mostly what I do when I counsel patients, is trying to bring them to a place of consciousness so they can really decide what they're doing. So some other examples for like cup drainers would be like a messy house, missing deadlines, conflict with loved ones. I always say, like, this might even be yours, John, because I know that you've talked about it before, but like a really full inbox.
I got that. I got that on my list already. That's so funny.
You log in on Monday and you're just like, there's 200 emails. What do I even do? Like, you're already drained before the day has begun.
You're right. And that is, and I do really try to set some email rules, trying not to check email too early in the morning and turn it off afterwards, because it is draining and overwhelming. And boy, you can get into these email threads that just are endless, and it really can be destructive instead of picking up the phone or visiting with someone. So, this is really good. I like this.
Yeah. Do you guys have your cup fillers? Do you want to share?
I got mine.
Okay, let's hear it, Ted.
Okay, so number one for me, cup filler, is cooking for my wife.
Nice. Oh, I love cooking too. That's great.
So I usually cook breakfast and dinner for my wife every day, and it just makes me feel good to nourish her.
That's great. I love that.
So that's one. And then the next one is training for triathlon. Then the next one is learning something new.
Yeah.
I'm like a sponge. I'm always trying to learn something new. The next one is taking care of my body, but not exercising. So like self-massage, rolling, stretching, whatever. Mobility work, right?
Yeah.
And the last one is mentoring others. So teaching and podcasting. Those are probably more podcasting these days. John and I podcast on Friday night. I don't know if you know, we host a podcast every Friday night. And that's like one of the biggest highlights of my week. So
that's awesome. I love that. I did not know that you guys did another podcast on Fridays, but
yeah, so we're on like episode 80 or so.
Yeah.
Is it, you can find it anywhere?
You can. It's on iTunes, the Evidence-Based Triathlete, and Buzzsprout, and YouTube. I think we do connect to other ones. I can't remember which ones, but where you watch your favorite or listen to your favorite podcast, we may be there.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I love listening to podcasts, so I'll have to check out your guys.
We're doing a pseudo nutrition one tomorrow because we're going to be talking about hydration in sports.
Yeah, so we're going to get in trouble. So,
yeah.
All right. Okay, so
John, what's yours?
I like Ted's, and so mine are. I just got done with a flight, so my brain's not working very good. But mine was swim, bike, run. I counted those as 3, maybe whatever, 2. But I did put down visiting, coffee, and I also put down podcast, Ted. So
good. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the second part to this, so we can actually get some numbers here, is that you're going to put next to it how often you do it per week. So if it happens once a week, you put a 1. If it's 7 times 7, if it happens less than 1 time a week, you put 0.
All right, adding numbers.
And then add up your number once you're done.
Now you do this live with your students in a video room at this point? Oh, cool. So they're doing it right along with you.
Oh yeah. And they're giving each other ideas, because it's sometimes hard if it's a small group. So it was great because we had at least 10 students on each call. So they were giving each other ideas like, oh, you're right, I do that too. So Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's gotta be a good way to get to know each other as well. And
It's a nice icebreaker. Yeah.
yeah, and I love that because the more that we can make our students connected to each other and to faculty, I think that the better success they're going to have, not only in the classroom, but in terms of completing their degree. So this is a really neat exercise to do.
Yay. All right, let's hear the cup drainers. Ted, what's your?
Well, I was gonna let John go first this time since I went first.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it, John.
Oh, well, mine are pretty easy. Swim, bike, and run, six on each one of those.
Oh, no, we're talking about cup drainers now, John.
Oh, the draining one. Okay. Oh, my number one, email.
Yep, knew it.
Consecutive meetings. And
Yep.
that's the bad part of the video world that we live in right now, is we can, take meetings in one and in the next minute start the other, and you don't get a break. So consecutive meetings is draining.
Mhm.
Car commuting, I really don't like that. Arguing, I don't like arguing, and I don't like disorganization.
All right. It's funny, we have similar things. So mine is driving to and from work is number one.
Yeah.
It's funny because, John and I, we both commute to work on our bikes.
Yeah.
And most of the reason I commute on my bike is because I hate driving so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next second one is like keeping things organized, like around the house, clean and organized. And, I actually have the garage as well because it's a problem for me. Paper pushing at work. So, what I mean by that is just things that I view as useless, just time sucking administrative things at work. Email returns or going through email. And then I have another one. It's I don't know if it fits into this, but insomnia. I suffer from insomnia many nights, and that is like a big drain on me.
Okay. Yeah, that counts for sure. All right. So now that you guys have those, you're going to do the same thing and put how many times it's happening in a week, and then we'll add that up.
Well, what can I put down for email? Infinity? Is that just
right? That's definite. Well, no, you said that you're setting boundaries. Are you?
That's right.
Said on Saturday that you don't check it, or Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
So so it's a 6 times a week then. For you.
Yeah.
I put 10 for that because I do it like twice a day, Monday through Friday.
There you go.
Interesting. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, now I really I don't know how often I argue week. That's not really that often. And it's funny, I don't like disorganization, but I'm not very good at organizing. Like if you look at Ted's garage and then if you look at my garage, a little different. So.
But my garage right now is horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I put everything off. I'm like, oh, I have an Ironman. I as soon as that's done, I'm going to spend a week on organizing the garage again.
Yeah, your unorganized is probably good for me for organization. So. All right, so now I've got numbers down.
What did you guys have for your ratio then? So what is your first number?
I got 48 on the first number.
Okay.
And 33 on the bottom number.
Okay. And what about you, John?
I got 29 on the energized, and the 10, 11, 12, 13, 17 on the painful one, the draining.
Okay.
John, I disagree with you because you did swim, bike, run. I put down I did that 14 times a week.
Yeah, I put 18.
Oh, you put 18 for that one thing? Oh, man, that's interesting.
Most importantly is at least you guys are seeing that you have more cup fillers than you do cup drainers. So when I first did this activity, I had like 10 in my cup fillers and 40 in my cup drainers. So
wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, I need to make some changes. So it was interesting that my students had similar.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. So where do they tend to fall?
Yeah, a lot of them. I actually had 1 or 2 students that had really good ratios, but it's because they had consciously been working with a therapist for at least a year. So they were actively in the process of trying to fill their cup every day. But only because someone had already pointed out to them that before they hadn't been. So those were really the only students who had what I would consider like a balance, like a good ratio. Otherwise, most of them needed ideas. And so this is where it kind of got fun, because they were lacking in a lot of ideas for things that they could try that could potentially fill their cup. Maybe they were too nervous to ever try meditation or journaling, or even just breathing, different breathing techniques, doing like box breathing or 5-5-7 breathing, really simple things that they could start to incorporate. So we kind of came up with some ideas that they could try. And they were then giving ideas to each other based off of things that worked for them. Like some of my students, just like Ted, they really liked cooking. And some students had never really even tried to cook. So they were excited to maybe potentially try something new that could maybe energize them. And then we also went through some strategies on what they could do potentially for the things that drained them. So if it could be something that could be eliminated, or the other thing to think about is kind of like what you said, John. If you read your email in the morning and you haven't had time to fill your cup, how do you respond to the emails? Versus if you have had a really good morning routine and you have completely filled your cup, you look at that email and you can handle the day much better. So we also talk about that morning routine as setting basically the tone for the rest of the day. So if you can fill your cup in the morning, you can potentially handle the rest of the cup draining activities, because we can't just eliminate emails. We're still going to have to deal with them. And for a lot of them who are working, they're not enjoying their work. So for a lot of them, they're not in careers that are fulfilling to them yet. So those were like draining. So we talk about, well, what if your cup was very full before you went to work? And they're like, oh yeah, it's a totally different day.
So when I drive to work and I swear at 3 people, that's not the time to do my email back, right? So because John and I we've talked about this before, how when we ride our bikes to work, how much better we feel when we get to work. And I for one am way more productive at work when I ride my bike to work, even though it takes longer for me to get to work. When I get there, my work is better. And I think that's a cup filling, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you show up differently when you have a full cup, and you're actually able to then like serve others as well. So I bring this up with even my juniors and seniors, because they're going into a profession where they're helping others. And how likely are you going to be able to help others when your cup is drained? It's very hard. Just like it's hard to show up, for your family or for others, like for your students when you guys are drained. So
well,
it's a great exercise.
Yeah, I am impressed, one, that you recognize that the students were struggling with this, and then 2, that you implemented it. I think this is a great skill to share with them, and I'm glad that you shared it with us, because it is something that we need to teach our students in terms of not only trying to learn content in a class, but what's the best way to learn content so that you can start applying it to your future career. And I think that, teaching them a balance of work and life, I think that's really, really great. And so thanks for sharing this. This is wonderful.
Yeah, of course. I feel like when I did my check-in at the 8-week mark, a lot of them had really changed up what they had been doing. And they told me that their study sessions were much more productive. Which, that's helping them in the immediate, but then they could also see how that could apply to their future selves when they're actually in the workforce. So a lot of them said they had better boundaries with their family and friends, which was good. And so that's another thing. I try and show that as an example. So I set very strict, like with the students, that I'm not going to be checking emails over the weekend. And I preface that by saying it's not that I don't care, but I'm going to show you as an example that I'm setting boundaries for myself, and this is my family time. And you'll see that when I show up on Monday, I'm ready. Like I've already done my self-care. I've already filled up my cup. And so when I'm back, they can tell that I'm back in the class because I'm back in there with announcements and grading and, you know, messaging them. So I try and also just be an example to them how that's possible.
That is really important because sometimes we are bad examples in terms of trying to work 7 days a week and trying to, you know, juggle everything. But I agree that faculty sometimes need to take a step back and really do this type of exercise and make sure that they are being healthy, because we can do our best job teaching when we're healthy.
Yep.
Tara, this has been great.
Yay, I'm glad you guys liked it.
No. Well, we are at our 30 minutes. We said we'd keep you for about 30 minutes. And this is wonderful. I did not know that you had a dance background. So that's wonderful to hear. And a neat path to get to nutrition and into UNLV. So thanks for sharing all this.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. It was fun.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, hope you have a great rest of your day and a long weekend, right? It's Nevada Day tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
Everywhere else in the world that doesn't have Nevada Day, too bad for you. We get the day off, you don't. And so I think we should be celebrating Nevada Day everywhere.
That's right. True. That should be one item a week.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.